Okay, so Yuma 77.
Yep, it's ready to go.
Ready to go?
Yep.
All right. And we have no one in person at the hall. We do have people get guests.
We do have some people from the public.
Okay, all right. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining the June 23rd, 2020 Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Can I get a roll call, please?
Scott Moran.
Here.
Ron Rice.
Here.
John McKinley. John McKinley. Okay. Tim Bowers. Danny Bryant.
Here.
Matias Rosales.
Present.
Alicia Zermeno.
Here.
Gary Black.
Here.
Wayne Idy.
Here.
Paul White.
Here.
Chairman, you do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Can we please, do we have a flag or something to display? We have one at the meeting room, right? Display somewhere. We all say the pledge of allegiance, please. Stand up. Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I don't have the housekeeping rules in front of me, but if anyone's there, if you park in the rear parking lot, you can remove your car, you go in. So let's go ahead and go to the item number 3, approval of planning and zoning commission regular meeting of May 19, 2020.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Bryant.
I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Motion by Mr. Bryant. Do we have a second? I think we have a second. I have a motion by Mr. Bryant. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I move the second.
Okay, who seconded that? Was that Mr. White?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, motion passes. Okay, the caller on the phone, we need to make sure we mute if okay. Item number 4, special use permit case number 20-03. Staff?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Fernando Villegas. I'm gonna present special use permit of 20-03. I'm gonna share the presentation on the screen in a moment. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes. Good.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. This is a request for a special use permit from section 613-03A of the Yuma County zoning ordinance to operate a junk and wrecking yard with auto dismantling on 2 parcels, about 6.77 net acres in size, zone light industrial. Subject properties are located in the Yuma Mesa planning area at 13711 South Avenue 3E. The intent is to bring the existing business operation into compliance with the Yuma County zoning ordinance. On May 9, 2020, the Board of Supervisors denied a request to rezone the properties to heavy industrial, and they recommended the special use permit. The vicinity map shows the location of the subject properties. Parcel 18 and 19 to the north, R zone RA10 is citrus production. Parcel 11 to the west is in the city of Yuma jurisdiction, owned by MCAS in agriculture production zone military reservation. Parcel 22 to the south and east is zone light industrial and is in citrus production. Next, we have the site plan submitted by the applicant. It shows existing buildings on the subject properties. They have an existing site-built home, an accessory building, and an office on the north property. Here we have a aerial view of the subject property. It's a 2017 aerial view. Next, we have some pictures. This is a picture of the subject property looking east from Avenue 3E. A view of the subject property looking east from the west property line. And a view looking southwest from the northeast corner of the north property line. Staff is recommending approval subject to the following operation and performance conditions. Operation condition number 1, the owner applicant shall acquire and have finalized all required permits as per appropriate code requirements within 2 years of approval by the board of supervisors. All the special use permit all expire pursuant to section 402.05B1A of the Yuma County zoning ordinance. Operations under the special use permit are not allowed until all required permits are finalized unless otherwise approved by the planning director and the chief building official. Operational condition number 2, no vehicle parking for the business is permitted in the public right-of-way. Number 3, the owner applicant shall comply with buffer and screening requirements. Number 4, the owner applicant shall construct and maintain a stallic fence or wall within a minimum height of 6 feet around the perimeter of the property prior to commencement of the operation of the facility. No material should be stored in such a manner as to project from or be visible above the fence or wall. Operational condition number 5, the special use permit shall be valid for a period of not to exceed 10 years from the day of approval by the board of supervisors. And performance conditions, number 1, an improved driveway approach connecting to Avenue 3E should be built in accordance to Yuma County Public Works standards within 60 days of approval by the board of supervisors. And the last one, within 180 days of approval by the board of supervisors, building permits shall be obtained for any structures built or installed without a permit, including but not limited to an existing office, building, light poles around the property. Mr. Sherman, this concludes the staff presentation. Any questions for staff?
Thank you, Mr. Villegas. Okay, at this time, I'll go ahead and open it up to the commissioners for any questions that they might have to staff.
I have a question.
Who is that, please? Mr. Wright?
When it requires a solid wall, they have a chain link fence. Is that acceptable? Or is it a brick wall? What's required?
Mr. Sherman, I think that the requirement is just a fence. It can be a chain link fence, but the applicant needs to block the view from the street, from the public view. It doesn't have to be a block wall or a concrete wall. It can be a chain link fence.
Okay, as long as the view is covered and there's no view from inside or outside for the general public.
That's correct.
Any other questions from any of the commissioners? Mr. Bryan, I think you're muted if you're trying to talk. No?
You've got to quit telling them to do that to me, Mr. Chairman. You got to unmute me.
There you go. Okay. Do you have a question or concern?
Yeah, just a question. I see on the number 4 of the operational conditions is that they have to do that wall before the operation begins, but this operation's already in place. Is that accurate?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, yes.
So, I mean, so you would just have a time frame that they would need to do it in a reasonable amount of time to make that fence so that you couldn't see through it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have an open zoning violation for this property. The applicant is trying to bring the property into compliance. That's why he's been applying for rezoning. The rezoning case got denied, now the special use permit. But yes, they don't supposed to be, operating the business until they meet all the requirements, all the requirements by the zoning ordinance. And the answer is that they have to comply and then they can operate the business.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any additional questions or concerns from the commissioners? Okay, seeing that at this moment, I'll go ahead and open this up to the public. Anyone from the public have any questions or concerns?
Chairman, we have the applicant, I think.
Okay, is that the applicant or is that a public person that is speaking, first of all? I got up.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I have a comment.
go ahead.
I think I'm muted though.
No, I hear you.
Okay, she had muted me. Okay, so for operational condition number 4,
Mhm.
although the subject property already contains the inoperable vehicles being stored on the property, that condition can be moved over to a performance condition, and they can be given a certain amount of time to build the solid fence around the property.
I
Okay,
like that.
thank you, Ms. Castro.
I'm not sure if the applicant is on the phone. I would say 60 days, but he may have a different time frame.
Okay, let me have the gentleman that's been waiting at the podium speak first, and then I'll call in for the applicant, okay? Someone at the podium, may you state your name and your address, please, for the record?
My name is John Lowry, 3578 East County 15th Street. I own the land adjacent to this property, south and east of it, as the map showed earlier, the citrus. And I have an issue with staff. Now, I've read on junkyards, the commissioner asked about a fence around it. And I would state it needs to be a 6-foot fence, but it needs to be a solid 6-foot fence. You can't see through. I don't think a chain link fence is adequate. That doesn't meet the requirements that you have on the books.
Okay,
Maybe he can respond while I'm standing here.
okay, I'll direct them to do that when I get to it, okay? Let me unmute him or see where he's at. Where are you?
There.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Maggie?
So if the applicant decides to go with a chain link fence, they can put slatting so that there is no visibility from the exterior border of the property, or they can put screening in addition to the fence.
Okay.
Some type of a screening material so that it doesn't allow for visibility.
Okay, Ms. Castro. Mr. Villegas, can you comment in regards to the gentleman's concern about those documents showing solid, not just visibility?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think Maggie already answered the question. Our zoning ordinance says that, let me find the section here, that the wrecking yard or this type of use needs to be screened by a solid fence or wall. And no material should be stored in such a manner as to project from it. from or be visible above the fence or wall. And that's what we have in section 614 of the Yuma County zoning ordinance. Maggie, as planning director, can make the determination of what type of wall will be acceptable as solid fence.
Mr. Chairman, the ordinance is clear. It states a fence or wall.
Right. And the term solid pretty much is we're talking about the visibility that you can't see through.
Correct.
Not that it's filled in with concrete or X, because even a block fence wouldn't be solid all the way throughout because that would be only the pillars that would be filled in. Okay. Thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome.
Mike, I guess anybody can talk now, right? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
No, my concern, I mean, is I just want a fence. I'm not asking to build a block fence or something. I just want a fence where you can't see inside the yard. But what they stated before, it didn't sound like that. So I want to be very clear on that.
Right. So, correct. And that's what the staff will verify and make sure that the item that it will be installed will be a non-visible and solid wall to their requirements. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lowry. Is the applicant on the line and would like to comment or speak?
Sorry, social distancing. No, I agree. We actually are starting the fence part. We're probably done within 60 days.
Can the applicant step back about 2 feet?
Yeah, it's Monty Sanders. Sorry, Monty Sanders, 3360 South 15th Avenue, Yuma, Arizona, 85365.
Thank you. Continue.
Okay. We're removing, most of the cars will be removed within the next 3 weeks on the stacked vehicles. We've actually already started. And then we'll put the fence in, post that, probably within 90 days after that. The only thing that we're gonna ask for additional time on would be just the, not the fencing and the existing fence we're gonna reinforce just to make sure because of the screening, just for wind, to make sure it doesn't blow over. So it's gonna take, but that will be in the same, probably 90-day time period. Just the encroachment, more than 60 days, 30 days to get the encroachment done, that's it. But the rest we'll do faster.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Monty. Staff, do you have any concerns in regards to that, or is that something you guys will deal one-on-one?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Mhm.
So performance condition number 1 can be changed to 180 days if he thinks he needs that amount of time. So all 3 performance condition, which means that operational condition number 4 would be moved to a performance condition, and they would also be given 180 days to provide the solid fence or wall.
That's reasonable. I would agree that's reasonable on my end to be able to complete.
Okay, any other questions from commissioners or anything else for the applicant?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
And that would be Mr. White.
Yes, this is Ron Rice. Anyway, when you talk about this is completely around the property, not just on 3E, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Do I have a motion or any?
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this is Danny Bryant.
Okay, Mr. Bryant?
Yes, I move that we recommend approval of the special use permit case 20-03 with the changes as spoken by Maggie of moving performance condition number 4 to, or one operational condition, the number 4 to performance condition, and in each of those conditions with a 180-day time period.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Who was the second by for the record?
Ron Rice.
Okay, Mr. Rice. Okay, motion for second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, may all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay, motion passes. Thank you for wearing your mask, everybody. That's over at the meeting hall.
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
Can we do a roll vote, voice call? I think John McKinley's on, and I just want to make sure that I have everyone's vote on here.
Okay. In regards to the votes, or if he's online?
Yeah, if he's on, if you want to just see if John McKinley, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the motion passed unanimously 9-0.
Okay, item number 5, rezoning case number 20-08. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Javi Barraza, Senior Planner. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Continue.
All right. I'll be presenting rezoning case number 20-08. This is a request to rezone 9.42 acres comprised of portions of 3 parcels totaling 17.81 acres in size from general commercial to heavy industrial 2-acre minimum. The project is located in the Don Valley Welton planning area, northeast corner of the intersection of Avenue 31E and Highway 80. The intent is to allow the use of 3 parcels in their entirety in the manufacturing of large metal wall panels. This is the vicinity and zoning map showing the 3 subject parcels highlighted in red. However, the proposed rezoning from C2 to heavy industrial 2-acre minimum is cross-hatched. Parcels are accessed along the south via Old Highway 80 and along the east via Avenue 31E. Parcels on the north, parcels 18 and 15 on the north are owned by Union Pacific Railroad. Parcel 16 also to the north is the location of Welton Mohawk Irrigation and Drainage District and is on rural area 40-acre minimum. Parcel 17 to the northwest is zone rural area 40-acre minimum, vacant. Parcels 20 and 21 to the west are zone heavy industrial, improved with buildings, metal buildings. Parcel 25 to the south is within town of Welton and it's owned by Union Pacific Railroad. Parcel 20 to the southeast is the location also of Union Pacific Railroad tracks and it's zone light industrial. And parcel 16 to the east is owned by BLT, an asphalt and concrete batch company, zone heavy industrial. This is Exhibit A. This is the site plan provided by the applicant. The portions to be rezoned are inside the thick line, and I'm going to highlight them. This is an aerial view dated 2017, showing the existing conditions of the 3 parcels, which are improved with a metal building, loading dock, building next to the loading dock, there's a building and some metal shades. This is a view looking northwest of the subject parcel number 24 from the southeast corner. A closer look at parcel 24. Now looking southwest of subject parcel 24, now from the northeast corner. Looking southeast at subject parcel 22 from the northwest corner. This is the view looking northeast at subject parcel number 23. Looking west at subject parcels from the east side on the frontage. Staff received a call from a property owner on the west, the owner of parcels 20 and 21, just with questions, and ended up being in favor of this request. Also received a comment from the Welton Mohawk Irrigation Drainage District, just some concerns about noise on the nearby residential areas. Staff recommends approval of rezoning case number 20-08, subject to the following performance conditions. Within 60 days of board's approval, the owner or agent shall provide an ARS 12-1134 waiver. Number 2, within 60 days of board's approval, the owner or agent shall apply for an encroachment permit to access Yuma County Public right-of-way. The driveway access to all parcels shall be in accordance with Yuma County Public Works Standard number 7.2.8. Mr. Chairman, this concludes this presentation. The staff is ready to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Barraza. Okay, any questions or concerns from commissioners to staff or staff members?
If I could just say, my name is Tiberio Esparza. I'm the representative for the applicant.
for the rezoning there in Welton.
Let me go ahead and go down the line. Let me see the commissioners and then we'll get to that part, okay? Thank you. Any questions to staff from the commissioners? None? Okay, at this point, I'll open up to the public. Anyone from the public? Seeing none, okay, applicant, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make myself available if there are questions that I might need to answer, or if you'd like to know more about the request for the rezoning.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you being online and being part of the meeting. Okay, bring it back to the commissioners. Do I have a motion? Do I have any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bryant?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we recommend approval of this case, rezoning case number 20-08 as presented.
Okay, Mr. Bryant, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second. I got Mr. Black.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
do you need to open it up to the public?
I already did that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it.
I'll go ahead and open it up in case no one else heard. Anyone from the public? Nope. Okay. We got a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion from the commissioners? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Sparta.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Chairman,
Yes, Maggie?
just a clarification, the motion passed unanimously.
Correct. For the record. Moving on to item number 6, rezoning case number 20-09. All Robinson Associates and staff.
Thank you, Chairman. This is Juan Larrubio, Senior Planner with the Planning Zone Division. This is rezoning case number 20-09. Can you see the presentation on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a request by Dahl Robinson Associates, acting as an agent for UMA 78 LLC, requesting to rezone a parcel 10 gross acres in size from RA10 to SSB2. The property is located at Avenue 78 and County 13.5 Street at the southeast corner, and it's in the Yuma Mesa planning area. And the intent is to create 5 parcels for residential development. This is the case map that shows parcel 1 crosshatch, which is the subject property. Surrounding the property, you have to the north, we have parcel 197.22.001, it's open desert within the city of Yuma municipal boundaries. To the northwest, we have a property zone RA5, which is 725.44.003, location of the site built home. Immediately to the west, we have parcels 44, 45, and 46, zone SR2, and each contain a site built home. And parcels to the south, parcels 9 through 13, are zone SSB2, currently vacant with the exception of parcel, I believe 12, that is currently has a house under construction. And to the east, I'm sorry, we have parcel 8, which is zone SSB5 and also SSB2. That parcel is currently vacant. This is the proposed split. It shows parcels A through E on the north side. The parcels to the south are not a part of this rezoning or this split. And as you can see, there's currently a road that is called Edwin Place, and this is what they're proposing. This shows aerial imagery of the subject property as it sits, with the exception of one of the parcels that currently has the 11 that has a home under construction. This is a picture looking southeast at the subject property, looking east from Avenue at the existing access, which will be the access for the properties at one place. This is showing looking north from Avenue 70. And we did receive comments from MCS. They're requesting navigation disclosure statement. The Yuma County Engineering Department is saying that access from Avenue 70 shall be restricted along the south side of the property, and various other agencies. There was no opposition. Staff is recommending approval of this rezoning case with the following performance conditions. One, that they provide an ARS 121134 waiver. that record infrastructure arranged and is scheduled for development disclosure statement. And number 2, that a request for navigation disclosure statement be recorded. Then the schedule for development that the property be split in accordance to section 507 of the Yuma County zoning ordinance, land division permits. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Rubio. Okay, this time I'll go ahead and open it up to the commissioners. Any questions, staff, concerns?
Hey, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Who was that?
this is Commissioner Mulhern. I need to recuse myself from this case. Sorry I didn't jump in there sooner.
That is fine. Noted for the record, you will be recusing yourself from the case. Thank you. Any other questions, comments from anybody? None from commissioners. Okay, at this time I will open it up for the public. Do you have any questions or comments or concerns from the public? Going once, going twice. Nothing from the public at this time. Is the applicant online and would like to comment anything?
Mr. Chairman, Adrian Vega, 1560 South Fifth Avenue. We are the applicant, the agent for the applicant, and are here to answer any questions you get any.
Okay, thank you. All right, back to the commissioners. At this time, I'll open it up for a vote. Do I have a
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
You want to go first, Gary?
I don't care. I just wanted to make a comment also, but I would also do a motion, but I want to commend the developer for actually putting this together and doing a good job. So many times we see developers coming in and trying to get around subdivision regulations. They're going by the book, and based on that, I would recommend approval of rezoning case 2009.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Mr. Black. We have a second from, is that Danny?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bryant, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Item number 7, rezoning case number 20-10. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Javier Barraza, Senior Planner, presenting rezoning case number 20-10. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. This is a request to rezone a parcel 10.10 gross acres in size from rural area 10-acre minimum to suburban site built 2-acre minimum. This project site is located in the Yuma Mesa planning area, more precisely on the northeast corner of the intersection of Avenue 5E and County 14 and 1/4 Street. The intent is to create 5 parcels of approximately 2.0 gross acres in size for residential development. This is the zoning and vicinity map showing the subject parcel crosshatched and highlighted in red. The property is currently vacant. Access on the west along Avenue 5E. Parcels 9, 008, and 007, and 6 on the north within the Goldwater subdivision are improved properties with site-built residences, zoned suburban site-built 2-acre minimum. Parcels 6 and 7 to the northwest are property zones suburban site-built 2-acre minimum, improved with site-built residences. Parcels 74812, 008, 009, and 010 are vacant properties zoned suburban site-built 2-acre minimum. I just would like to mention that parcel 008, there's an active issue permit for a new residence. Parcel 2 to the southwest is on rural area 10-acre minimum in agriculture. Parcel 17 and 18 to the south are properties within the Berry Emerald Water Range and within the city of Yuma, zone military reservation. And parcel 11 on the east is a vacant property in agriculture, zone rural area 10-acre minimum. This is the Exhibit A. This is a site plan submitted by the applicant depicting how he planned to split the property. They're proposing an access, a new 40 feet access and utility easement along the middle and the common center line in a cul-de-sac manner. This is an aerial view showing the condition back in 2017. This is a view looking northwest of the subject parcel from the southwest corner. This is looking east at the dirt road along the south, which is also the extension of County 14 1/4. This is a view looking north at Avenue 5E. This is a view looking southeast of the subject property from the northwest corner. Now from the northeast corner, this is a view looking southwest. And looking west of an irrigation ditch along the north of the parcel. Staff received no comments from surrounding property owners. Staff recommends approval of rezoning case number 20-10, subject to the following performance condition. Within 60 days of board's approval, the owner or agent shall do the following: provide an ARS 12-1134 waiver, record an infrastructure disclosure statement, record a range disclosure statement, record an agricultural disclosure statement, and record a schedule for development disclosure statement. Also, the following is scheduled for development. Number one, within 1 year of board's approval, the owner shall apply for and obtain a grading permit from the Department of Development Services to improve the ingress-egress easement shown in Exhibit A as an access-built road in a dust-free condition by application of an aggregate base course covered by penetration and chip seal coat, referred as a standard B. The ingress-egress easement also shall contain the means of emergency vehicle to turn around. The turnaround shall be in accordance with the 2003 International Park Code and current Yuma County policies. Number two, within 1 year of approval by the board, the owner or agent shall split the property by means of a land division permit in accordance with Section 507. Number three, within 1 year of board's approval, and as part of item number 2 above, the owner shall record an ingress-egress easement 20 feet in width as depicted on Exhibit A. Number 4, within 1 year of board's approval, the owner shall submit certification from a licensed engineer confirming that the roadway referred to in item 1 of the schedule for development was constructed according to standard B. And number 5, within 1 year of board's approval, all lots shall be provided with means of irrigation and access to irrigation water prior to development of any of the existing parcels. The owner applicant will submit a letter from the irrigation district to the Department of Development Services confirming that a satisfactory irrigation system is installed and the individual lots will have access to irrigation water. Mr. Chairman, this concludes this presentation and staff is ready to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions from the commissioners or to staff or anything in regards to the zoning item? Okay, hearing none, I'll go back in and bring it out to the public. Any questions from the public? No questions or concerns from the public. Hearing none, I'll bring it back. Is the applicant available or want to do any comments?
Mr. Chairman, again, Adrian Vega, 1560 South Fifth Avenue. The owner agrees to the conditions of approval and we're here for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Bringing it back to the commissioners for action.
Mr. Chairman, will you take a motion?
Sure.
Gary Block, I would like to make a motion to recommend approval of rezoning case 2010 as presented.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Black. I got a motion from Mr. Black. Any second?
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right.
Mr. Chairman, who is the second?
I did second it. That was me.
Mr. White?
Wayne.
Wayne, White, one of the two. That was Mr. White.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys, thank you. So motion passes. Item number, where are we? 8. Rezoning case number 2011, Adrian Vega for TDI and staff present.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Juan Leal Rubio, Senior Planner with the Planning and Zone Division. This is, let me share the screen. This is rezoning case number 2011. This is a request by Adrian Vega, an agent for TDI Holdings, LLC, requesting to rezone a parcel 9.65 gross acres in size from RA 10 to SSB 2. And this is to create 4 parcels for residential development in the Yuma Master Planning area at the northeast corner of Avenue 5E and County 13th Street. This case map shows the parcel crosshatch, parcel 13, right in the center. And I'll go over surrounding uses. Everything around this property is zoned SSB2, with the exception of the property to the southwest, which is zone C1. Parcels 11 and 10 contain a site-built home, and every other parcel contains a site-built home, with the exception of parcels 1 through 4, and parcels to the north, and parcels 4 and 5 immediately to the west. And the property zone commercial is also vacant. This is the proposed split. As you can see, they're showing access off of Avenue 5E. They're intending 4 parcels. And this is going to be a cul-de-sac type of access easement, 40-foot in width. This shows the aerial image of the surrounding uses and the property. This is a picture looking north at the suburb property from County 13th Street. This is looking north, also from County 13th Street at the irrigation ditch that runs south to north on the east side of the property. This is looking south at Avenue 5E. The suburb property is to your left. This is looking east towards the suburb parcel. Again, another irrigation easement. This irrigation ditch is on the north side of the property. And we received comments from MTAS requesting navigation to source statement, and Build Safety is asking for an all-weather access road built in accordance with the International Fire Code, and then various other agencies. No opposition. Staff is recommending approval of their zoning case with the following within 60 days of approval. The following performance conditions: that they record the 12B1134 waiver, and they recorded the infrastructure schedule for development and agricultural disclosure statement, and also a request for navigation score statement to be recorded. And also this schedule for development, this is the same as the other case, so I'll just do a summary. This schedule for development talks about the grading permit, and they need to apply with the Department of Development Services with a standard B penetration chip and seal road, and that they have to also do a means for emergency vehicles to turn around in accordance with the International Fire Code. Number 2, that they make application for a land division permit in accordance with Section 507 of the Yuma County zoning ordinance, and that they provide that the easement 20-foot in width with an irrigation easement on the north property line to be recorded. They're also going to have to provide a certification from a licensed engineer confirming that the roadway is built according to the standard B. And that all lots need to be provided with irrigation and access to irrigation water, and they'll need to provide a letter from the irrigation district saying that it's a satisfactory irrigation system. And that concludes the task presentation.
I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Does anyone have any questions or comments for staff? Yeah, go ahead and open it up to the public. Does anyone from the public wish to comment regarding this item? If so, please state your name and address for the record.
Evening, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Snow. The address is 4825 East 47th Street. I live on the west side of the subject parcel in the Heritage Park subdivision. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Continue. Thank you.
I'd like to talk for a few minutes about this particular rezoning, as well as the prior two, but mostly about this one because I live there. I understand the county's land use plan and the city's land use plan. And besides speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for my employer. I'm speaking as a property owner. However, I would like to say that although I'm happy to see development in the area, I think it's a good thing that these 3 10-acre parcels are being developed into 2-acre parcels. I would like to note that I believe this is a little bit too restrictive. I would like to urge the commissioner and the board of supervisors to consider moving to a higher density in these areas rather than keeping in the 2 acres. This is needed in the community, in the country. Parcels limit the ability of people to develop and to make housing that is more affordable. I believe that I've read the AQ study from the military. I've read the Marine Corps order with the military. And I'm also familiar with the city and the county land use plan. I'd like for you to consider now and in the future something with more density. 1 acre, half acre. I understand that there are some issues with the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality and putting septic tanks on lots that are, in their view, a little bit too small. I need to point out that around the country, here in Arizona, Yuma, the county, and the city, there really is a need to provide housing that is less expensive. And I live out there, and I also work for a developer, so I understand this pretty well. Median income in the city and county is around $40,000 to $50,000. People can typically qualify for about 3 to 3.5 times their household. There's not very many people in the community that can qualify for housing that's going to cost 2-acre lots $400,000 and higher. So I have, having read military studies and being familiar with, I believe that there is room in those studies to increase our density. And I think for purposes of this discussion, I'd like to talk a little bit about the current economic situation. We are in an economic recession. History tells us that one of the ways America gets out of a recession and improves its economy is almost all through it. So housing usually leads the way out of recession. This is good. We're creating housing. It'll create jobs. It'll create economic prosperity. It will create loans and all kinds of good things for the community to develop these parcels. However, revenue is down, as you know, at the county level. Revenue is down at the city level. Revenue is also down for all the retailers in the small business community. We talk a lot about supporting the local business community. One of the ways that we can support the local business community is to have consumers have more housing choices that provide housing that is more within their budget. The national guidelines and guidelines, frankly, around the entire globe are that people shouldn't spend any more than 30% of their paycheck on housing, which would include utilities. So when we have restrictions, when we have land use policies that are very restrictive, like 2-acre lots are, this limits the ability of people to have housing that costs money in the local economy. We've got a lot of people sitting on the sidelines right now who would like to be working. If we can make some zoning and some land use reforms that make sense, I believe we can help lead the way out of economic recession by putting money in people's pockets and making them spend it. We're all familiar with the multiplier effect, things that happen when we spend money locally. It runs through the economy locally just more than one time. So we've done a lot of work in this area, have a lot of understanding of this area. I believe there is room at the county and the city level to have a little bit higher density, even when we're underneath the 65 and 70 decibel noise corridors. So again, I would urge you to consider that. I'd also like you to think of the fact that when workforce housing, when is not subsidized, that is meant for the general public, when it is more affordable, people simply have more money. And most of the time, they're going to spend that money locally. It's a way to, you think about it this way. Land use reform and zoning is a way for governments, local governments, to stimulate the economy at almost no cost to taxpayers. Because as we increase the density, we make housing more affordable, we're going to have more money in the consumer's pockets. Think of it this way. In Yuma, people have an economic pocket of about $45,000. And if housing takes a larger slice than 30%, the pie didn't get any. So if the slice pie is 40% instead of 30%, there's 10% of that pie that could have gone to local businesses, local restaurants, to local retailers, local manufacturers, that is instead going to go back somewhere on the East Coast, because that's where all the mortgage money goes, right? So when we're spending 40% instead of 30% of our paychecks on housing, or if we're being forced to live into outlying communities, forced to live 20 and 30 miles down and commute in, then our transportation budget is taking a bigger slice of that pie than it should be. So between transportation and between housing, we've got an economic pie where the slices that are going to transportation, the slices that are going to housing are too big. And that means everybody else who's a participant in that economic pie gets a smaller piece of the pie.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. One more for the record, because I think staff missed your address. Can you repeat your address, please, for the record?
4825 East 47th Street.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So you're for the project. You're just looking for more high density. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public would like to speak? Okay, hearing none, I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioners, any questions from the commissioners to staff? Or comments, response? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the request.
Okay, that'll be from Mr. White. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Black. So Mr. White motion and Mr. Black second. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Item number 9, rezoning case number 2012, Adrian Vega. And staff, please.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Fernando Villegas, senior planner, presenting rezoning case 20-12. Let me share the presentation. Can you see the presentation, Mr. Sherman?
Yeah.
All right. Not working?
No, went away.
All right, got it. I got it. For some reason, doesn't want to do this. We got it. Can you see it?
Sure.
Okay. This is a request to rezone a parcel 10 gross acres in size from rural area 10-acre minimum RA10 to suburban site build 2-acre minimum SSB2. The subject property is located in the Yuma Mesa planning area at the southwest corner of Avenue A and County 17th Street. The intent is to split the subject property into 5 new parcels. Next, we have the vicinity map, parcel 10 to the north is zone SR2, suburban ranch, and is developed with site-built home. Parcel 8 and 9 to the north are zone SSB2 and are developed with site-built homes. Parcels 6 and 7 to the northwest are zone RA10. Parcel 6 is the location of a metal building used as a repair shop for manufactured homes, and is used for storage of manufactured homes, recreational vehicle, commercial trucks, trailers, inoperable vehicles, and miscellaneous junk. Parcel 7 is the location of a site-built home and also several commercial structures, and it's used for storage of trailers, RVs, inoperable vehicles, and miscellaneous junk. Parcel 2 to the west is zone RA10 and is in agriculture. Parcel 4 to the south is zone RA10, is developed with site-built home and citrus. Parcel 755530008 to the southeast is zone RA10 and is in agriculture. Parcel 12 to the east is SSB2 and is the location of a site-built home. Parcel 1 to the east, SSB2 undeveloped. And parcel 31 to the northeast is zone RA5, which is developed with a site-built home and agriculture. And next, we have the site plan submitted by the applicant that shows the proposed lots with a private access and irrigation for all lots. Then we have an aerial view of the subject property and adjacent properties. As you can see, the subject property is in citrus production right now. Next, we have pictures of the subject property. This is a picture looking northwest from Avenue A. A view looking south from Avenue A. And a view looking west along the north property line and County 17. Staff received letters from MCAS and the Yuma County Airport Authority requesting a navigation disclosure statement for this property. The property owner to the south, we got an email today that he is in opposition because an irrigation line that provides irrigation water to adjacent properties or to his property runs across the subject property, and the irrigation line can be damaged during the construction. Staff is recommending approval of this request subject to the following performance condition and schedule for development. Performance condition number 1, the owner or applicant shall record the following documents within 60 days of approval by the board of supervisors: an IRS section 12-1134 waiver, an agricultural disclosure statement, an infrastructure disclosure statement, and a schedule for development disclosure statement, a warranty deed dedicating 33 feet of the right-of-way on the east side. Performance condition number 2, the request for a navigation disclosure statement to be recorded within 60 days of approval and submitted to the Department of Development Services. And the schedule for development within 2 years of approval by the board of supervisors. Prior to approval of the land division permit, the owner shall apply for a grading permit with the Yuma County Department of Development Services to improve the ingress, egress easement depicted on the site plan submitted by the applicant in dust precondition by application of the aggregate base course covered by a penetration chip seal code. And number 2, the property should be split in accordance with the site plan submitted by the applicant by means of the land division permit. Condition number 3, the owner shall submit certification from a licensed engineer confirming that the road referred to in item 1 of the schedule for development was constructed according to standard B. And condition number 4, all lots shall be provided with means of irrigation and access to irrigation water prior to development of any of the existing parcels. The owner applicant will submit a letter from irrigation district to the Department of Development Service confirming that all lots had satisfactory irrigation systems and have access to irrigation water. Mr. Chairman, this concludes the staff presentation, and the owner agrees with all the conditions of approval.
Okay, thank you, Steph. This time I'll bring it back to the commissioners for any questions or comments or concerns to staff or applicant.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. It's for Ron Rice.
Okay.
Can you show me the aerial view? I'd like to see where the current ditch is that supplies water to the neighbor property.
Mr. Rice, the water line that the adjacent property owner is talking about is an underground pipe. It is not a canal or an irrigation ditch. And we just find out this morning, like I said, about a irrigation line that provides water that crosses the entire property. And I wasn't able to find any easements or anything on the property, but I can show you the aerial view that provides a good view of the irrigation ditches.
Please do.
All right, can you see the aerial view?
No.
All right, let me move this thing. Right there.
Where is the underground line?
Well, according to the property owner to the south, they're saying, and I know that we have another property owner here today in the public that probably knows more about this, but the line, if you can see on the screen, runs from the northeast corner of the property across the property to the southwest corner of the property.
Oh, it goes, cuts clear across the property?
That's what the property owner to the south is saying, that he gets the water from that line that is under the property, the subject property. But
I can understand his concern. And during construction, because if he has trees, he needs to have water when he needs it. And there should be some guarantee or warranty somehow, either from the district or the irrigation district or the owner of this property, to guarantee that there won't be any interruption with irrigation service.
Mr. Chairman, I think that the property owner might have additional information and the adjacent property owners. We requested comments from the irrigation district unit B, and they submitted no comments. So staff just find out this morning about this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Villegas. I'll go ahead and open it up to public to hear the comments from the public, and then I'll hear comments from the applicant and see what we can figure out here. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commission. My name is Aurelio Alba. I'm the owner of property number 4 that is to the south that submitted that email this morning. My address is 17220 South Avenue A, Somerton, Arizona. This is my first time ever testifying in your commission, so bear with me if we jump around a little bit. But I wanted to bring this up to your attention because Mr. Leclerc is also here. He's to the west of that parcel, and he also uses that ditch line that's underground to water his ditch that's on the west side of my property. So I'll let him introduce himself, and then I'll go through what I think you guys should know about the issue.
Yes, my name is Ramon Del Real, and I don't have a map, but anyway, I'm right next to him, west of him.
Thank you. Can you give me, did you give me the address or you just said west of him? Can you provide the address, Mr. Real?
They do the farming. They own the 20 acres of dates, but I don't know. They don't have a house there. Like
yeah, we don't have an address. We don't have a resident address.
Mr. Sherman, if I may, Mr. Real owns the property number 2 on your vicinity map. The 2 properties to the west from the subject property, he owns those 2 properties, which is a total of 10 acres. And he owns more land that are not adjacent to the subject property, but he says that he gets also irrigation water from this line.
Okay, thank you. All right, so you guys have an issue with the water line.
If I may just explain, so I bought the house in 2014 when the whole ranch was 50-acre ranch. So that parcel that currently has the citrus, I farmed the citrus to the south of it. And I mean, I've been dealing with that whole irrigation since I bought it. I'm not a farmer by trade, but I learned by buying the property. So when I have issues with the irrigation, the Unit B says that we own from the road all the way to there's a transfer box that I have to provide easement for that sits on my property. If you see, there's a road between my property and it goes all the way under my house, all the way across to that junction box, and everybody uses it. Like 8 parcels use that water line. So it's not just me, Mr. Delgado, everybody to the south of me, there's like 4 houses. I'm more than that because there's another parcel to the south of that also uses that line. So there's a lot of people that use that line, but we're responsible for it. My concern is that if once it starts being developed, if there's a heavy equipment or they're putting in a gas line or a well or a septic, they're gonna break that line and they're just gonna cap it, and it's gonna that's the water that we use for our citrus. Mr. Delgado uses for the dates, and everybody else that waters behind it. So I just want to bring up to the issue. There's no easement there. It's under the property lines and it's not marked. I do provide easement on my property to get to that, but over there, or where the water comes out, not where the line is, you know? So I just wanted to bring it up to your attention. And that's why I was opposed to it until there's a plan by either the irrigation district to reroute that line, or they say that it's our responsibility, but I think it should be addressed before you guys approve the zoning for the homes.
Thank you, sir. I'll go ahead and let the applicant comment to see if he knows anything about this or what his comments are, and then we'll go back to the commission and staff to figure out what's gonna happen.
Oh, no, I was just gonna talk to you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Adrian Vega, 1667 Avenue. So, like Fernando mentioned it, we just found out a bit about this irrigation line this morning. We did a research on our property. Went through our title report. We didn't find any easements crossing the property. We didn't know about this irrigation line. But we're willing to work something out with the neighbor to provide, so he can get his irrigation site. So basically, we will work it out with the neighbor.
Mr. Vega, so if you barely found out this morning and staff also found out this morning, would you guys have an issue in continuing this item until you guys do further research and bringing it back to the next meeting? To allow staff and you guys get together and figure out what's going on here?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Maggie.
This issue with the irrigation, the easement, the underground line, it's something that needs to be worked out with the irrigation district.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. That we continue this item and provide them time to go figure this out before. Or what do you guys? Okay, Mr. Vega. Thank you. I'll bring it back.
This is Triguna Israel, 2591 South Avenue, 2.5E. I am the developer for this property. Prior to buying this property, I had met with the irrigation district, and we also looked at the title report. So, for some mysterious reason, this water line did not show up either on the title report or when I met with the manager of the irrigation district. There are a couple options, obviously, and we'll look into it. But considering that this is more a rezoning request, can this still move forward?
Yeah, staff?
Mr. Chairman, yes, the item can move forward. This is the issue with the irrigation, like I said previously, is something that they could work out on their own apart from the rezoning request.
Okay. So just for the public to understand the zoning, it's just for the zoning. From there, you still have to do the pre-development and all the other stuff in regards to the subdivision and figure this out. You'll have time to do all that, correct?
That's
Yes.
correct from my side, yeah.
All right. So staff, that way if the public has any questions, you guys could address and explain that in further detail. So, okay, at this time, I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Any further questions or concerns or motion, action item?
Mr. Chairman, this is Gary Black. You know, I think it needs to be a condition still on the, if there's no easement across that, it's a predicament. I mean, it really is. I mean, this could create problems for landowners around it. And I live right by it, so I understand I know exactly what we're talking about. You know, I think there should be some time period to resolve this issue. I think there should be something said in the performance condition about that for me to feel comfortable. You know, if we provide a zoning request and recommend approval to the Board of Supervisors, I think we can't punish the land that's around it. And this probably happened 50, 60 years ago. And it needs to be identified and taken care of in a methodical way and not just swept under the rug by rezoning.
Mr. Chairman. Yep. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. White.
I would concur with Commissioner Black.
Okay. Maggie, Ms. Castro, is this something that we're able to do? Do a motion in regards to the condition for the rezoning, but subject to?
Mr. Chairman, staff has not drafted a condition to address this issue. So the only way staff can draft a condition is to continue this item or, like I said, because this is basically a private matter between the two property owners, it's something that can be worked out after these hearings are concluded or concurrently with these hearings.
Mr. Chair.
Staff will not be involved in any agreements between the two property owners.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
John McKinley here. Can you hear me?
Okay, Mr. McKinley, go first.
I concur with Commissioner Black and White. There's no way I can vote to move this forward without some resolution on it.
Okay, next person, who else was on the line that wanted to speak?
This is Ron Rice, Mr. Chairman, and I agree. I just can't vote for this unless we have a guarantee that there's some resolution to this irrigation problem.
Between the private parties before it comes back to zoning.
Mr. Chairman, being that said, you know, I think this item needs to be tabled and maybe brought up next time until they have time to look through this. And I would make a motion to that effect, that we table this.
Mr. Chairman, this is Kevin Dahl. May I speak at this point?
Yes, go ahead.
So it's Kevin Dahl, 1560 South Fifth Avenue. So we fully understand the situation. Time is of the essence. This is not a planning issue. We would fully concur with staff. This is a irrigation private issue. We are not going to be able to build on top of a water line. That just makes common sense. So we just need to further this along. We will take care of the issue. It's not an issue. We will take care of the issue. And we have options of doing this. We just need to move forward. We don't want to delay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Ms. Castro.
If this were, one of the ways that may help the commission make a decision on this is if they add a condition to the schedule for development that an irrigation easement be established along the southern boundary of the subject property. And that may alleviate the planning commission's concerns and the property owner's concerns to the south.
That was the original request, and you were saying that we couldn't do that. So if I have a motion
Maggie, I'm sorry for interrupting, Mr. Chairman. Maggie, I think the issue here is we don't know where the property line is located. And I think what we're trying to avoid is if this moves forward, we don't want the new property owners to, if they buy the lots, to have that problem once they buy the lot. So what we can do is include a condition that would not allow the property owner to split the land until a resolution is done by the adjacent property owners and the irrigation district. But the issue is that we don't know where the line is right now.
Mr. Chairman, that is something that can be discovered through a survey and through contacting the irrigation district.
Mr. Chairman.
So establishing an easement along the southern boundary would resolve some of these concerns.
I get what you're saying, Maggie. Okay, Mr. Bryant.
No, it sounds like we have this issue that that the folks want to move the project forward, but now everybody wants to make sure that the irrigation problem's dealt with. Couldn't we recommend approval moving forward and ask the Board of Supervisors to resolve that? This issue could be resolved by the time it gets to the Board of Supervisors.
Correct, but I also understand staff where this is just a zoning, this ain't the planning part of it, but I understand what the commissioner is trying to say. So yeah, I agree with you too, Mr. Bryant. I mean,
yeah, we could just
zoning doesn't mean they're gonna break ground, it's just the zoning process that can move forward, and then at the planning stages they do that. So I understand the engineer, the applicant, but I understand the commissioner's concern. So someone,
I do too.
Yeah, so someone just needs to present the proper motion so we could vote on it that would satisfy staff and the commissioners and the public. So
let me take a whack at it.
Bring up that motion.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with the applicant and Kevin Dahl that this is a zoning issue. This isn't a planning or development issue yet at this point, so we can move this forward.
Okay, so I should need a motion. I'm going to ask for a motion. Anyone have a motion for me?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we recommend approval of this rezoning case 20-12 to the Board of Supervisors, subject to the irrigation issue being resolved by the time they act on it.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'd second that.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Can I one discussion? Gary, does that solve your issue that the board, that they would resolve this before the board acted on our recommendation?
Yeah, I hate to leave it like that. You know, I do, you know, and I would vote no on it just because I think it should be resolved before we move forward with the rezoning. This puts the matter to the priority section, and possibly it can be done. And you know, I'd like to hear what Mr. Dahl has to say about it before I vote. Yes.
Mr. Dahl?
Mr. Chairman, so I don't know if this is a planning issue. We can't build. I mean, there's so many catches on this, and we can't build a house on top of an irrigation. We're not going to build a house on top of an irrigation. Much liability. We need to identify where it's at. This is just a bump in the road. We will identify the issue. We will take care of the issue. We can't move forward until we know what's going on, and we can't even recommend to our client to move forward until we know what's going on. We don't want to build a house on top of a line, so it's going to take some investigation. This is a process. It's a long process, and we're you know, I can't emphasize enough. It's just an issue. We're going to take care of it.
Okay, so will that motion that Mr. Bryan suggested satisfy what you're trying to do then? I mean, not stopping it, but you know, you guys need to figure this out. And
so I would say that the zoning process, this is not a county issue. So if anything, the land division is not going to get recorded until it's resolved, not a zoning issue. Zoning can go through and get approved. It has nothing to do with construction. All we're doing is situating this in a situation where we can start the process of the land division and start constructing. So I would say there's no condition required. Honestly, we are going to take care of this before the land division.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to play here both sides, so you know, everybody gets what they want. So again,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
This is Ron. I have a question, Mr. Dahl. Can he guarantee it will be resolved before it gets to the Board of Supervisors?
Mr. Chairman, again, so what I am suggesting is that this is not a planning issue. This is not a zoning issue. We will take care of this prior to completion of the land division. The zoning can go forward just fine. All that's doing is entitling the land to be a proper zone. This situation will be resolved prior to the land division. So there really doesn't need to be any condition at all. It's going to be taken care of before the land division is reported.
Right, I understand, I agree.
I
Go ahead.
disagree with Mr. Dahl, Mr. Chairman, that there needs to be some guarantee that this will be resolved on or before the Board of Supervisors vote for it. Otherwise, I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, let me clarify real quick. So the process is a long process, and zoning is one step of the process. So zoning is entitling the land. Zoning is not allowing us to construct homes. There is a process called the land division that needs to be completed prior to doing anything. After the zoning is completed.
At that point, I'm sorry, at that point, you will come back to the
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, what you have.
Hold on, Mr. Black, hold on. So at that point, when you do that, that would come back to the commissioners for the planning process and the subdivision before you even start construction, correct?
Mr. Chairman, that is an in-house procedure through staff. Staff would be in charge of, the building department. I mean, the entire staff will be in charge of that land division. That land division does not come back in front of the P&Z Commission or the board.
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Castro.
the schedule for development addresses some of the requirements for the land division permit or obtaining a land division permit. And like I stated earlier, we can add another item under the schedule for development that an irrigation easement needs to be dedicated with a land division permit.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Castro. Mr. Black, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman,
Hold on,
Mr. Chairman, I think we're outside of our scope on this. I believe that this is just a zoning issue. This has nothing to do with development. I think we need to just look at this as zoning and move forward with that. This is not development.
I understand, and
So I think we're outside of our scope on putting any kind of stipulation to this.
So we had a motion, we had a second.
Can I explore just a little further with that motion? The performance condition that Maggie described would give more time, but it's just a development issue. I would be willing to amend my motion to make that a performance condition for development.
Yeah.
And that would give the applicant more time. And I understand and agree that it's a planning issue, but I also understand that the planning commissioners aren't going to kiss this thing with a due pass unless they feel that the irrigation is being dealt with, because this is the last time we get to look at it.
Right, okay. So you're amending your motion and
I would if the second would be amended.
I'll agree to that, Daddy.
okay, so we have an amendment to the original motion with a second amendment to the second amendment of the motion. We'll take in the record. Okay, any further questions or comments?
The only comment that I have, and I'm not trying to be, I am pro-development, I totally am. But the key here is we're creating an issue that could be a problem for landowners surrounding. I think the schedule of development is the proper way to do that. And if we can figure out that and put it in the schedule of development, I'll go for it 100%. I don't have a problem.
Well, that's what Ms. Cash was suggesting, but I get this for zoning and put it as a performance condition. Okay. All in favor at this time, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Say nay. Okay. Motion passes. With that condition, you got that, Maggie? With that performance?
Yes, I will put it under the performance conditions and not the schedule for development.
Okay. Thank you, guys. What's the next?
Chairman?
we have another item?
Oh, no, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just for the record, Commissioner Mulhern his mic was not working. So he is recusing himself from rezoning cases 2010, 2011, and 2012.
Yeah, he had to put that on one of them. I don't know if it's-
Yeah, his mic wasn't working for the other ones, he said.
All right, cool. Okay, at this time, thank you, everybody. Adjourn, motion to adjourn. Anyone?
You got it.
All right. A motion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Again? Okay, have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Aye.
Passes.